And welcome to the Pekin First podcast. My name is Josh, and I get the absolute pleasure of serving as the online ministries director right here at Pekin First. And today, this is episode 50, and I have a special guest with me. Introduce yourself.
My name is Cathy Simpson.
All right, Cathy, and today we are going to go through an update kind of on Providence Place. And this episode 50, is called Walk with Them. All right, we're going to start this episode off the same way we do every episode, and that's with this week's personal best. I do a meeting every week at my quote unquote day job that is called an L10, and that we start that L10 off with a personal best and a business best, and it just changes the tone of the meeting. So obviously, I'm not doing a business best here, but we are going to do a personal best, and I'll give you my personal best first, and that is this happened this last Sunday. This was All Saints weekend, and where we honored the people who had passed this previous year that were members of the church, and my grandma was was honored in that, and so that was very special. The other special thing is because the family came and we're all at the same service, and because a lot of my family does the online thing, and my daughter works in the nursery. Avery works in the nursery, so she came down, and we got to worship together for the first time. And we were all there I had to go back upstairs for the message, and she had to go to the children's room. But we got to do the contemporary worship songs together, and it's been a very long time. I can't even tell you when since we got to do that together, and that was a very big moment for me. So that is my personal best this week.
Great. Well, my personal best would be similar to that. It has to do with family, and it also happened on Sunday. Recently, my two young adult grandchildren, they're 19 and 22, and they've decided to come and spend some time with Grandma. And I think they enjoy each other's company as well. They're cousins, so they don't see each other all the time, but they've been coming and spending some Sunday afternoons with me, and this Sunday it went on into about 8:30 at night, and so just getting to spend time with them, and sometimes they do little projects for Grandma to help me out, and this time we just spent a lot of time sitting around the kitchen table sharing with each other what's going on in our lives, and really enjoyed that time. That was wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah, good. When the adult children come back, me and Zena have a middle daughter who has decided that she's going to travel the country in a van. So she has sold a lot of her belongings, rented out her house, and she is financially able to do this, which is great because she's 24 years old, and she's just going to travel the country. And she came back just recently, and when she just kind of popped in on Zena, and you lit Zena up.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the adult children coming back are big for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on with episode 50, and this is called Walk with Them. This week, we're going to dig into the ROC House ministry and why it's so important today, especially in a time that is overwhelming with need in this area. And we're going to go through the why and just things like that of the ROC House ministry, Caris Place, and Providence Place. So, Cathy, we're going to start with the why. And so, how did this ministry come about?
I'm always excited to talk about how this started because it started with one person had a house and wasn't sure what she was going to do with that house. She was moving into a new place, and really spent some time listening to God and what He wanted her to do with the house. And because of her listening and then sharing an idea with others, the ROC House ministry was born, something that had, in our knowledge, hasn't been done before by churches or anyone else, that to decide to offer housing for folks and to walk alongside them at the same time. It's not just a rental property. So that's really how it started, was someone listening to God's voice and then acting on that.
Now, giving, my day job is managing property, and so giving a home away, especially, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was her family home.
Yes.
So giving her family home away to help others, that is listening to God and trusting God on because that's a lot of income that just disappeared, if you will, but comes back in watching people succeed and trusting God to know that this is what I've been called to do, and trusting to know that in the end, or as we go along, that it will be rewarding.
Absolutely.
So the why. Let's talk about the why. Gina here at the church, she is. I call her. We're partners for sure on the advertising and just the things going on, being involved in the things going on around the church. And her question is, what is our why?
Yeah. So there are maybe some different ways that I could answer that one. And I guess the first and foremost is God calls us to be good neighbors and to take care of those who are less fortunate. And that's our big why and why we do this. Beyond that, another important piece of that is that we see how Jesus did his ministry, and a lot of it was built on relationships with people, building relationships. And so this is a ministry that allows us to do that. And that is not just us changing their lives, but our lives being changed as well, being transformed. So
we are transforming. We are transforming people for the betterment of the world, in God's eyes.
Well, and if I could interrupt, sorry.
Yep, absolutely.
The transformation is God's work. We are his hands and feet, and we're not the ones bring about that transformation. That is how we share our relationship with God, with others, and then when they choose to do that for themselves, that's when the transformation happens.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the why and how it started, and it was the gift. What was the let's go into a little more detail of what was the idea behind Karis Place. This is Karis Place now. What was the idea behind Karis Place? So walk us, not in great depth, but just kind of an overview of it was meant for, we bring a family in, and then how do we walk with that family? Or what is the goal with that family?
Right. So when it becomes available, we put the word out. We have many partners, we call them, different organizations in the community and the surrounding area. When we started the ministry itself, we talked with those folks to see what is happening with what you're doing and what are the needs there. And that helped us to form some of what we decided to do with this.
So we go out to agencies in the community. What are we with these agencies? What kind of individual or family, and most of the time it's a family, what are we looking for? Okay,
so there's an application process. We talk with those partners. We put the applications out there. And if they have someone that they can refer to us, then they fill out the application. We go through those. And we look at those. We have a team of folks who look at those and say, this looks like someone that we want to interview. And then we have an interview with them and find out a little bit more about them. Our main thing that we need to do is to see, how does this church congregation, how would we be able to walk alongside this person or this family? There are lots of different needs that people have, and we aren't meant to be able to answer to all of those. So we have to really choose, who do we think we can see people within our congregation that can walk alongside, and that we ourselves are able to walk alongside and to fill some of those needs that they have.
So we also, and correct me if I'm wrong, we take into consideration a time frame of, there's a maximum time frame that we try to walk with somebody or assist somebody to help them. This is not a permanent place. This is a transport to the next part of life, meaning we're going to walk with you, help you get on your feet, and then you have now been established, and now you can either go rent or you can go buy, or, and I think we've had tenants, I call them tenants, we've had families do both.
Yes.
So how long is that stay?
So we set up the original contract with them to be for 1 year. It is a month-to-month lease on their part. At any point in time, they decide they are ready to move on, or this isn't working for them, or the church isn't working for us. We have that 30-day clause, to let us know, and it can be over and done with. But we set up a covenant with them. Once we've selected a family, we sit down with them and we try to find out, what are your goals and what are some of the obstacles that you see, and what are the things that specifically you would like to work on while you live at Karis Place, or soon to be Providence Place.
Right.
And so in that covenant, they decide what it is that they will do to help to try to reach that goal. And then the church says, okay, we will support that this is our commitment to you then, what we will do in order to help you achieve that goal. So far, it's been, each of the families have been there for about 2 years, and that seems to be a good time frame. We don't really want to put a time limit on it. If they're continuing to make progress and all of that, then that's our goal, is just to continue making progress and helping them to move
down
on.
that road.
Just to keep moving forward, yes.
Yeah. And so when we talk about, and obviously different families have different goals, and they're all coming from possibly a different place in life. So as we talk about the walk with them, is it financial? Is it jobs? Is it school? Is it faith? Is it all the above?
All of the above, yes. And again, we talk with them, and we offer some suggestions of some areas that maybe we would be able to help, or to find out what their needs actually are. But yes, each family is different, and you have to kind of make that fit.
Right. Now, as far as getting people established with jobs, we have partners, I assume, that we go out to if somebody needs a job and says, hey, here's the skill level type of thing. Yeah.
Well, that's not really one that we have had to deal with yet. Each of our residents have been employed.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. And then
we would explore all avenues
right.
at that point, yes.
Gotcha. And it all, like you've said before, and I've said before, it all depends on what the goal is. If the goal is I'm working a part-time startup job, if you will, just to try to get me back on my feet. The goal is to get into a career, and here's that career that I have a goal of. So it's hitting those goals. So let's move down the road a little bit. So that's Karis Place, and that's how this whole ministry is kind of set up, and where it started, and kind of where it's going. Now, how many residents have we had there?
This is our third family, has just moved in.
All right. And so as Karis Place is starting to take shape for the first family, we'll rewind a little bit. As it was starting to take shape for the first family, there was, God kept speaking. And that was one of the guys that was working in Karis Place, looking over at a dilapidated property, a uncared for property. We'll go that route. I don't know that it was totally dilapidated, but it was very uncared for. And it was right next door, and he had a vision.
Yes, he certainly did. And he wasn't the only one.
Right.
And that's what's important with that, too, that as he began to share what God was speaking to him, that next door is our next place that we need to look at to be able to help people. And others on the team at that time were like, oh, I've been thinking the same thing. God's speaking to me. This is really God's direction here. So, yes. And then shortly after we were sharing our ideas, the property became for sale.
Just happened to become
Just
for sale.
happened to come for sale. Yeah.
So we purchased the property with a loan out of the endowment, correct?
Yes.
And then the structures that were on the property, one by one, we had demolished. There were several structures there and people living in the structures that probably shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And so they moved on and we demolished the structure. And then we sat with a corner lot for, I want to say 2 years, but I could be wrong.
Not very long,
Yeah.
actually. Just a few months after we took possession of that property, the residents were ready to move on, and they came to us, you know, and one by one, and that happened. And I think in about 4 months' time, all of those places disappeared.
Right,
And-
but the empty lot itself
Yeah.
was there for...
Yeah, and we really expected to maybe have people living there as they were for 5 years and learning how to be in ministry with them and to be good landlords for those folks. And that's not what God had planned. So,
Which was probably a good thing.
yeah, as it moved along, then we had to start developing, what is this going to look like? And it turns out that it turned into a duplex.
So we started, we had a couple fundraisers, we had a couple concerts there 2 years in a row, right before the construction started.
Yeah.
The second one was right before the construction started. We might have actually been leveling the land and putting the wall up. So had some fundraisers and quite honestly, and I know plenty of people at the city of Pekin, we were kind of that project. Not we, that project, that ministry was kind of the talk of the town of how we were transforming an entire neighborhood.
Yes. Yeah.
So we started building, pouring foundations and blocking foundations, and had a lot of help. I believe we got the floor installed with the Teen Challenge folks.
Yes, there were some of those folks that came and helped get that started for us. And there were volunteers from other churches. So we were introduced to the World Mission Builders,
Right.
who came and put the structure up to the point of it being dried in about 10 days' time. So there were a lot of steps that we had to go through. We had conversations with the city about zoning and a lot of different things that had to go on, and all of us learning these things.
Right, as you go along.
Yeah.
Building a house is not easy, let alone building a duplex.
Yeah, but very grateful for the World Mission Builders and the work that they did. They had about 30 volunteers that came from 9 different states, I think, and put that structure up for us. And then we expected that, it would just keep moving right along, and somehow things just kept getting slowed a bit. But yeah, that's how it goes.
That's how it goes. When the World Mission Builders were here, just anybody who listening who doesn't know, I have become, over the years as I've aged, scared of heights. I can get up on a roof, but doing much on that roof is not a good idea. And so I got to the site and, okay, what do you need? Well, we need somebody else up on the roof that can lift a sheet of OSB. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be fantastic. So I'm standing on just the rafters. There we go. Standing on the rafters, lifting OSB, a story in the air. And so, God just moved me and I got over my fear of heights real quick.
Did you really get over it, Josh?
I mean, I could probably do it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the right mission, for sure.
Well, God has definitely stretched all of us in many different ways, and that was one way that you were stretched in your life.
Absolutely. I've seen Val was putting up soffit, and you guys were, I believe, putting up the Tyvek, and so yeah,
Putting on some siding.
Yeah. So we've all learned a little bit. I know quite a bit of the interior stuff. The exterior stuff I do not like putting on a roof. All right, so now it's slowed down a bit. We've got to the interior. to my knowledge, a lot of the plumbing is completed, or ready to be completed, I should say. So tell us where we are at with Providence Place.
Okay, so as of today, the driveway's been poured and the sidewalks were being ready to be poured today and tomorrow maybe. The Teen Challenge guys who work for Compelled Construction have been in and putting the drywall up, and they have, I hear they're supposed to complete the mudding of it today, so all of that work has been completed, and that's kind of where we're at right now. So
we got drywall up, it's mudded. The next step will be painted. Should be painted. And then, so we're moving right along. Driveways is kind of a big deal, because it's been a muddy mess here and there.
Well, it was one of our concerns with the weather getting colder. You know, we're very fortunate for this work to be able to be done right now, because in a few short weeks we would be on hold again, and hoping to be able to get it completed, one side of it completed by the end of the year, and have another family living there. So if we weren't able to put the driveway and the sidewalks in, that would not have happened.
Gotcha. So one side is a little further along than the other. Is that correct? Yeah. The right side, if you're looking at the front house. So what is it that congregation or anybody listening, what is it that we can do to help Providence Place along?
Well, we really love for all of you to be praying for that ministry. I know that God already has someone in mind that he wants to live at Providence Place, and all of us can be praying about that. That's number one, of course. Praying for the workers that are there, and praying that people would continue to open their hearts and that they would become involved with this ministry. There's many different ways to do that. Number one being prayer. And as we work with the families, as needs come up, then we'll be looking for people to help with that. But anybody that has construction skills that wants to come and volunteer there, we'd love to have you come and work alongside us on that as well.
And if you're interested in doing something like that, they could just contact Geraldine at the office, and then they can get you in contact with Cathy or one of the ROC House ministry people, and that's info@peakinfirst.org. So if you're out there and you're looking for a side project, because side projects start to die off as the winter months come in. So if you're looking for a side project, for sure can use your help down there. The other thing you can do is this weekend, November 8th and 9th, is the United Methodist Women are going to do a dessert and soup. And this is probably going to be a pretty good weekend for it, because it's supposed to be a little chilly, got a little chill on, and just a good soup weekend.
God's timing once again.
Absolutely. Right. So, and it's going to be to go. You can pick it up after the service. They don't need reservations or anything, right? Yep. Nope. You can pick it up after each service. So even if you don't, even if you don't attend here at Pekin First, come in at 6 o'clock on Saturday evening, and the ladies will be up here behind the sanctuary just serving it out. And all donations will go to fund Providence Place, the build. This has been a fantastic ministry, and coming from my background and in my quote unquote day job, there is a huge need for this. People folks that just need just that extra step up, and something that a lot of private investors just can't afford to do because of the costs that come with being a private investor. So this is a huge need, because it gets them to that place where they can go out to a private investor and get and rent a house or an apartment or something like that, or buy a house or apartment. So it's a great ministry. So this weekend, if you're out and about, show up Saturday night at 6 o'clock, pick up some soup and dessert, or Sunday at 9 o'clock, or Sunday at 11 o'clock. You can do all those three things. All right, thank you, Cathy, for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Going through Providence Place. I do want to end the show. I was driving in, and somebody was doing a good news story, if you will. And so this kind of caught my attention. So I want to tell the story. And the story is this younger couple, mid-20s, was at I won't name it, but it was at an amusement park down south in Kentucky, I think, somewhere there. Anyway, at an amusement park, and they were getting on this roller coaster where they are season pass holders. So they've been on this roller coaster many times. And they had a young lady behind them. And as they went down the first hill, she screamed, but not like you normally would on a ride like that. Like it was a shrill, just happened. And the guy was like, man, that just doesn't sound like normal. And they looked back, and her lap belt had come undone, had broken. So, when you're on a roller coaster, the little thing that goes down in your lap, it had come up. So he turned around, and his wife, I believe, turned around and was holding the lap bar down so that she wouldn't come flying out. And then they knew the roller coaster so well that as the hills were coming up, they would hold her body down, put extra pressure on her body so she wouldn't come out of the seat, because the G-force was so great that she would come out of the seat. You would come out of the seat as you would go down the hill. So had they not, and the guy telling the story said, had they not been there, or somebody else would have been in that seat, what would have happened? So God's timing is everything. So if you're impatient about the future, if you're impatient about what's going on, if things in your life just don't seem to be working out, know that God's timing is everything. And God will put certain people in your path when they're supposed to be there, for sure. So I believe that's all I have for episode 50. And I want to thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. You can also catch any one of our podcasts. We have the Monday update that happens every Monday morning at 5:30 a.m. And we also have the Sunday message, which is Sean's message from Sunday. We just cut that down and we put it out on a podcast. It's a great way to drive to work and rehear or hear the message. All right. My name is Josh. And remember, God put us here to do great things. So let's go do great things.